Greetings, everyone. My name is Alquamar, and this is my lovely co-host,
Hanifa.
and you are tuned into the Empower Hour, where we take 1 hour out of your week to discuss impactful subject matters that impact our everyday life, and we take them, with your help, we hash them out right here on air, and we come to some form of remedies for a lot of our challenges in our communities. So, today's topic is going to be on co-parenting. So, yes, all you parents out there that have little ones and you have to co-parent, you're no longer together with your significant other. However, the child is here and they have to be raised up. So with both parents involved. And so we figured we'd take this time and discuss that and how do we effectively co-parent. We have a special guest in the studio today with us. The brother Leopold McLaughlin is here. And he's going to be helping us to unravel some of these challenges and give us a strong pathway moving forward to productivity and strength and everything else entailed. All right? Okay, so before we get started, we want to go into just a little bit about where we are. This is the Everlasting Life Restaurant and Lounge located at 9185 Central Avenue. And that's right inside of the Old Hampton Mall Shopping Center, right next door to Fitness for Less. As you can see, this is a beautiful studio that's been here operating for a little over a year now. There are spaces available for rent, so if you have a voice out there that needs to be heard and that you think that could be effective in getting community members and watching and knowing what you have to say, give us a shout out here at elifemedia.net. We'd love to talk to you about possibly renting some media space. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right into our discussion today, and then we'll come back around. We'll loop back around and give you some more information about the restaurant here. Okay, so Miss Hanifa, did you want to get started, or you had anything to say? Because you're co-parenting right now,
yes,
right? A little one.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and I myself have been through the process. Although I guess as a parent, it never ends.
Right.
So I guess I can say I am still co-parenting. So this would be an interesting topic, not just for us. Not just for the studio artists, but for us as well. And so, Mr. Leopold, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Well, first of all, I thank you for allowing me to come on your show. Mm-hmm. My name, of course, is Leopold McLaughlin. I have a legal background, and most of my work now is pretty much dealing with helping parents co-parent better.
Okay.
My first thing was actually to help fathers get custody of their kids, more of a father's rights advocate. However, now I deal more with both parents coming together and co-parenting better.
Okay.
So,
all right.
That's sort of like a mediator?
Not necessarily a mediator,
okay.
but more so trying to figure out the techniques so that parents can co-parent better. Okay. Meaning that it's much better when a child has both their parents interacting together. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the father is not there because of the fact, not because he didn't want the be around the child, it's because he has issues with the mother. And so he starts to exonerate himself from the picture because of the fact of that issue that he's dealing with the child's mother. Right. But that does not help the child. And so the main thing now is to be able to co-parent together so both parents can pretty much help raise the child.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So what kind of background education do you have? Is this just something you've been passionate about, or you actually learned the skill and the trade in order to assist others through training courses?
No, my background actually is law. I'm a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I don't practice anymore. However, now I just deal with advocacy, deal more with the advocacy and helping others do better in their co-parenting skills.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? Is that through direct face-to-face counseling or over the phone?
Right. Well, several ways. One is non-direct, which I have an app actually called Toodle, which actually helps parents co-parent together. It's an app which you can, organize the kid's time. You can text the other parent, and it it's integrated within this app so that both parents, if they have problem communicating or finding out what needs to be done with the child, they can just see it right on the app. So that's one way of it. Secondly, I'm also the chairperson of an organization called Our Blended Families. Nowadays, most families are blended. A lot of times the two parents are not together, and they remarry and they bring other kids in, kind of like a Brady Bunch type scene. So with this organization, we help both parents and the step-parents come together and learn different techniques to help one another to raise that child better.
Okay. And you said, how long have you been doing this?
I have been, with my particular organization, I have an organization called ACS, which stands for Assured Child Support, which actually is technically, to put it in more of a layman's terms, like insurance for child support. Right. So if, for instance, if a person pays child support and let's say they lose their job, my company, if they're a member, my company kicks in and pays their child support. I've been doing that for about 5 years. Okay. With OBF, our Blended Families organization, I've been doing that for about 3 years. Prior to that, I had been helping, especially fathers actually, win custody of their kids or get more rights with their child.
Oh, so I heard that there was a shift. You started out helping fathers, right, get custody of the kids, and then you went into the whole blended family approach or the co-parenting piece. What was the reason for that shift? Like, what happened to make you realize that this is as important? Right.
Well, that's actually an excellent good question. I guess, the first, when I was doing custodies and divorces and more as a legal practice, I only thought of the money aspect of it. Until I had gone through my own divorce. I realized that it's very devastating. And so I would rather now be able to help build communities rather than help break them apart. So that was more of the aspect of why I got into building up. And I was raised with both my parents, and it makes a definite difference being raised by two parents as opposed to one parent. Unfortunately, my son, I have a son and a daughter, and they're by two different women. My son's 21 and my daughter is 9. I see the difference. I've seen the difference in the way my son had grown up. He's 21, as opposed to my daughter now, who I'm an intricate part of her life, where I have joint physical equal custody of her.
So why is this important at all? Why do you think that it is important for parents to even be able to co-parent?
That's a good question. It's all based because of the child. I mean, you need to have that child well-rounded. and the child is not going to be well-rounded. Despite what the mother says or the father says, and a lot of times you hear, the mother says, well, I'm the mother and the father. Right. But the child would be lacking, especially young boys. If their father is not in their life, these young boys, have a lack in their life. Mm-hmm. They need their father to learn certain things. Mm-hmm. Just as well as they need their mother to learn certain things in their life. Mm-hmm. So it does take two parents to come together and help raise that child. And the parents need to focus on the development of the child and not what has gone on in their life.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to touch on that. What does that process look like for your organization once you have two parents who are hurting, because that can be the issue as well, where they're having a problem, which is now affecting the way they communicate with each other. What does that process look like with your organization stepping in and,
Right. Well, unfortunately, a lot of times, it's very hard when there is a breakup. There's a lot of animosity, a lot of resentment, contention, and all that stuff. So it's really hard at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now, my organization can step in and help, but both parents would need to want to have that happen. Okay.
Right.
And a lot of times, either one or the other parent, they don't want it. They don't want to work together, for whatever reason. And they need to really put that aside and say, what is the best interest for this child?
Yes, sir.
And that is the main thing that they need to focus on.
Do you recommend a cooling off period, like right after a breakup? Because I find that is when the emotions are so high for both parties involved. And so to get someone to parties to cooperate when it's a nasty breakup right at the beginning, I would imagine would be a lot challenging versus having them cool off for a little bit, and then come to the table and do some negotiating. What do you say?
Well, the thing about that, I can say yes and no to that.
Okay.
I mean, the first part is, like, for instance, if I am dating someone and had a serious relationship and I break up, I usually take a year before I would be able to talk to them, just to clear everything and clear your energy and all that stuff. However, if you take a year and not speak to the person, I mean, you're missing out on the year of your child,
Right.
So maybe I would say you have to kind of take it day by day, and maybe coming together, forgiving one another. Not saying getting back or reconciliation, but forgiving what went on in that relationship, and say, you know what, we need to come together because there's a child that we brought in our life, and the child was brought really with love, and we have to really think about that. The love aspect of it and not the hatred aspect. And it's true, there's a thin line between love and hate.
Yeah.
That is definitely
and
true.
the thing with cooling off, too, is you don't get to determine how long that takes for me.
That's a good
So
point.
you can say cool off a year, and it may take me two.
That's a good point.
It's sort of like, how can you weigh that? Because and in that time, the child is suffering.
Yes.
In the middle of us cooling down.
That's a
because
good point.
I get over things very easily, very quickly. I was more ready, to go than my ex-husband to do this, way before he was.
Okay.
But that's my personality. I don't really hold on to things. You have someone else who it takes them a while to process things.
Right.
So that cooling down piece, I mean, what does that look like? Because I don't get to tell you when to get over it or when to, be ready.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. That is a good point. With that being said, when should the communications begin as far as co-parenting is concerned? Should you talk about that during the relationship, or what do you think?
Well, technically, whether you're together or you're not together, co-parenting is, is there. You have to co-parent even if y'all are married together and y'all love each other 100%. You have to still co-parent. Now, co-parenting separately, when you're separate and you have to co-parent, yes, it's a little bit more difficult, obviously. However, if let's say you cannot speak to each other because of all those emotions and all that stuff, I would say, use text message. Start texting. Do it in writing in that way, and that helps in several different ways. Number one, if you need to go to court, you have everything on written down.
Yep.
It shows that you have made an effort in order to communicate if the judge wants to see, as well as you can, there's not as much emotion involved if you're typing it on the phone, So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I know some people that are co-parent who use email quite a bit. I never understood it, but that works for them.
Yeah.
Because there's still like a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that part.
But even,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even with the text scenario, we have to be careful because sometimes those texts can come off vicious, vicious as well.
All caps.
So yes, I guess a little bit of courteousness will go a long way.
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, we have to learn how to contain ourselves and not. I mean, I've had several text messages that weren't very nice, So, but on the other side of the coin, you have written proof. If you need to go to court, if it needs to go to court, or take litigation, you have written proof, as to how you responded or how she or he responded.
Speaking, go ahead. In your line of work, I'm sorry. In your line of work,
a lot of questions
what
here.
have you seen? What would you say have been like the biggest barrier to effectively co-parenting that you've seen over and over, where you look at it and it's like if they would just deal with that.
Right. Well, honestly, it's and maybe I'm saying this because I'm a guy, but I find that actually a lot of women, kind of make it hard for the guy to want to be a part of their child's life, and a lot of these men really want to be a part of their child's life, but it's as if they don't, want him to, or they don't believe that he could, handle a child. But they just really, honestly, that's really the main thing. A lot of the women are the barriers,
So what would you say to a guy that may be listening in right now? What would be your advice to him? Because I often see where there are those scenarios. You are absolutely correct. And I'm saying this as a female.
Me
you see
too.
it over and over. What do you, but the reaction that I often see from the men is that they give up. They give up, and that's more detrimental, I think, to the child. So what would your advice be to someone that may be listening in and they're going through this right now, and they're really on the verge of giving up?
Right. Well, that's actually an excellent question. I would say, well, first you can buy my book called Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma online, but but the main thing, honestly, is to don't give up. The law does work in your favor. And a lot of times men are afraid to go to court. And in today's times, especially African American men, we're afraid of certain things, the police, stopping us or going into the courtroom, or it works in both ways. If the woman, if the mother has an issue with you seeing your child, you can go to court and stress your rights.
Speaking of court, do you recommend that above and beyond anything else?
Absolutely. Honestly, yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay, if you can, let me say it this way. If you can work things out with the other person, then by all means. Yeah. But if you cannot, go to court. Okay. And as much respect as I have for my daughter's mom now, it wasn't like that at the beginning. I had to take her to court. And now what I have with my daughter is every other week, 1 week on, 1 week off, total equal custody with my daughter. And a lot of times, a lot of men don't get that because they don't ask for it, so they stuck with being a weekend dad, every other weekend, and you can get more if you go to court.
Would you say that the court system, the child support system, has a bias towards the woman? That's one, and I feel like that's that's sort of a known fact, and that scares a lot of men away. Most men will not go to court and fight. They will just, give up. And what would you say? I'm sorry, you can answer that first.
No, that's good.
Okay. And then what would you say to a man who, the courts isn't working because okay, so I'm sorry, let me go back. Do you feel like women use the court support system to beat up or to project that pain that they're feeling back onto their ex?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, first, the first question I answer about the child support system is the laws are very antiquated, and so with things need to be changed, and that's one of the bases of my company, ACS, AssuredChildSupport.com. We do try to change the laws, try to do litigation, and we again also like I said, my company tries to prevent men or women sometimes, because women sometimes do pay child support, from being in contempt. So because here in Maryland, if you're in contempt, you go to jail, which I don't understand. And the second question you had asked was about do women use that against men? And yes, I've actually had that happen to me before, where my son's mother would always do that, and it was more of her reason to try to beat me up in a sense. That's not the word I was really looking for. But it was no real justification to keep taking somebody to court, if they just happen to be short, maybe a couple $100, and you're short, and I'm going to take him to court and try to hurt, and then go and tell the judge, well, he's not doing this, send him to jail.
Well, let me ask this, because I'm big on getting to the root of why things are the way they are. What do you think? What do you think has to take place before the courts are even involved in a case? So what do we do as parents to have to alleviate the court system even having to be an option?
That's a good question. It really goes down to the communication, and if both partners could come together and just kind of be at peace with one another. It really just comes down to that, because if you have, a lot of times this is what happens. One person uses the child as a pawn, or both, they use them as a pawn. And I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What does that do to a child?
Well, it puts the child in the middle. Because a lot of times the one parent may say negative things to the child about the other parent,
right?
Or in front of them.
Or in front of them, absolutely.
Right.
And it just confuses the child, because the child, especially at a young age, they love both parents.
Right.
And then when you start indoctrinating the child with this information, when the child, becomes teenager or a little older, then he may sway to one parent or the other parent,
over the other. So it's emotional abuse.
Absolutely, it's definitely emotional abuse.
Yeah. So because I see that happen a lot. I was in a relationship and with a man who had 2 young children, and he got divorced when his children were very young. They were like maybe 2 and 3 years old. And I watched this brother battle for years with his children and the mom. And, he just wanted to be a good father. He wanted to take care of his children, support her, see him. But she had so much malice and, stuff that she couldn't let go of. And she would use them children to get back at him. But I watched how they suffered as well. The children, they used to love to come and visit, and for the weekends they get excited, and daddy's coming to get us, and pack, can barely sleep at night because they know daddy coming. And she decides the last minute, nope, you're not going with him. And the pain that them children had to suffer
Absolutely.
you know, was it was heartbreaking for me to watch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I guess my question then is, because a lot of times this is kind of cyclical in our community, right? Where you have maybe my mother had my dad on child support, and so when there's like a split between myself maybe and my significant other, there's a split. The advice that I probably should be getting from the elders, I'm not getting, because they've went through that and they still have their own bitterness. I guess how much of a role does the community
Good question.
have to play in this? I mean, family unit, how much of a role? Because we're talking about solutions before you even get to the court system.
Yes.
And I feel like that the solution there, that would be the family unit.
Yes.
So how much of a role would you say the family can play in how it goes?
Right. Well, yeah, I guess it goes back to that saying, it takes a village
Yeah.
to raise a child, and that would be fantastic if everybody could come together and really raise this child. I mean, when I was growing up, the neighbor, if I did something wrong, the neighbor could come out and spank me or whatever. But nowadays, it's obviously a lot different. You know, it's raising a child nowadays. With everything going on, it is very, very difficult. And if you're doing it by yourself, you know, it's hard. You know, so if everybody could come together and work together. The woman who's founder and president of the organization, Our Blended Families, her name is Chanel Cadwell, and she always talks about how her children were raised by her. She calls it her stepwife. Because her husband had remarried and had a wife, and this woman, the stepwife, had pretty much raised her kids very wonderfully, and would communicate with her to make sure that the kids are raised great. And her kids are doing very well now. Both of them are in college, and they're doing, you know, great.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the village plays a huge role, because just going back to my personal situation, I think if my ex's ex-wife had people around her to encourage her to wait a minute, you know, let them children see their dad, or you know,
Absolutely.
I think, you know, to encourage her to look out for the children, you know, more than, you know, her own emotions. I think that would have made a huge difference in their upbringing.
Or her relationship with his family. Because when I talk about marriage, you're bringing two families together.
Yes.
So my relationship with my husband's family, if we split, continues, right? It should. If we have a good relationship.
Right.
So his mother wants to see her grandchild. So when there's the family parties and the, you know, grandmother, his mother steps in and say, are you bringing Timothy to my, you know, and talk to both of us. You know, we definitely want to see him. I think that makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
Because you're holding the person accountable. Like you're not, when you take him away from his dad, you're not taking him away from his dad. You're taking away from his dad's family. That's true. That happens a lot of times.
Right.
You know, and then another piece too, what you just touched on, is it's important for your kids to see that. Because it's important for my son to see his dad and I getting along, so that if ever, I don't wish it on anyone, but if ever that happens, he knows how to deal with it.
Right.
We model that type of behavior. So we have single moms right now, and what they're saying in front of their daughters, right? Or their sons, mainly their daughters, but their son too. I don't need him.
Right.
I'm your mother and your father. These kids
don't
are
do nothing for
internalizing
you.
that. Absolutely. So when they have a split, instead of trying to figure out how do we work this out to work effectively for this child, they go into their mommy's mode. Because they learn that. Where do we learn these things? The family unit. That's our nucleus. That's our training ground. And we carry these things with us, you know, throughout life.
Right.
And that goes into the question Miss Laura had. One of our Facebook friends had a question pertaining to this topic when she asked, she said, what is it that parents aren't getting married these days? Black parents seem to be not getting married, because I'm hearing Hanifa speak, and I'm thinking that, that is like a part when you get married. Mm-hmm. That's a blended, even the marriage part. It's not just between you and, and the other person. It's both. You're blending two families together.
Absolutely.
And so when we're not married, I think it's easier for, I don't know, what you guys say?
Well, I'll say this, that I guess it kind of goes back, and I don't want to say like a history thing or anything like that,
mm-hmm.
but
yeah,
like history.
Yeah, break it down.
But I think though that for some reason, as African Americans, we seem not to want to be married like we did back in the day, and our family unit has been broken down in some way. Mm-hmm. Now, it is much better nowadays to be married to someone and build a family, but we seem to have gotten on this knack of cohabitating, mm-hmm. and then if it doesn't work out, oh well, just let me move on. But you can have the child, move in, have the child, or have the child first, and then move in, and then, but never want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But I do think that we should definitely start, rebuilding the family unit and getting married.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely do too. Well, what I want to do at this moment is we're going to take a minute to just share again. We're looping back around and sharing with you guys again where we are, which is the Everlasting Life Restaurant and Lounge. We are inside of the Elife Media studio here at 9185 Central Avenue. Everlasting Life is the main hub of 3 locations. So there are 2 other restaurants in the Tacoma Park section of Northwest DC. Evolve is one, as well as Vigoritos is the other. Now, Evolve has just gotten started with a Deja Vu Thursdays. It's a happy hour from 5 to 7 p.m. each and every Thursday. Buy one, get one free cocktails. So you guys that are on Facebook, you see that here. Really nice, beautiful, colorful flyer. And I'm hearing that they're getting all the rave over there in Northwest. Mm-hmm. I'm here every Thursday myself working my jewelry booth. So I keep saying one of these days I'm going to close up early and get on over there and join the fun. Yes, but Thursdays, 5 to 9 p.m. I'm sorry, 5 to 9. Happy hour is from 5 to 7, mm-hmm. but the special Deja Vu Thursdays run from 5 to 9 p.m. We also here at Everlasting Life do a couple of events throughout the month. We do a solstice shopping bazaar, which takes place the first Saturday of every single month, where we take the dining in area here in the restaurant and we transpose it and create it and make it a shopping bonanza. So you can come out and we have all types of vendors that come through with all different types of specialty items that you can only get. A lot of the pieces are one of a kind. So you want to come and join us for that. That's each and every first Saturday of the month. It runs all day from 12 to 6 p.m. What we do is we bring in a special guest during the shopping bazaar to, just add a little excitement and flair to the day's festivities. We had Professor Griff to come join us one solstice. Tico Wells was here at another time. That's the brother who starred in the 5 Heartbeats, and he was on Bill Cosby show a few times. Well, this coming first Saturday, we're going to have 2 celebrity chefs, Lauren Vanderpool and Chef Kitty Awudu. They both will be here, and this is going to be epic. So we have 2 celebrity chefs going to be in the room with us at the Solstice Shopping Bazaar. Vanderpool, she'll be here at 2 o'clock from 12 to 2. She's conducting a free food demonstration. And then Chef Kitty is going to follow her up at 4 p.m. and he's going to give you guys a demonstration on how to eat to cure your ailments. Okay, so you do not want to miss this solstice. Again, that's Saturday, August the 5th from 12 to 6 p.m. Right here at Everlasting Life. And all that is free. We also do each and every Friday night a dinner and a movie right here again at Everlasting Life. You can come if you're hungry, grab yourself something to eat, something to drink. We serve popcorn, desserts, smoothies, and have yourself a seat and enjoy a new documentary we air each and every Friday, and then from 7 to 9 p.m. And we have a discussion that follows the documentary. A lot of it is very interesting to hear a lot of what the general public thinks about certain topics of discussion that we have going on. This Friday we will be airing, check that out of Darkness. If y'all not familiar with this DVD, very powerful, very impactful information. It was referred to me, and then I saw Professor James Smalls a few weeks ago at another event I was there at, and he sold it to me, and he told me that we have to show it in 3-part series. So it's 3 hours long. So we will be airing the first part this Friday. And we'll consecutively be doing every week for 3 weeks we'll be airing this and having a discussion about Out of Darkness. Let me just run off some of who is guest starring and guest premiering in this documentary. Kaba Kameen, Dr. Umar Johnson, Tony Browder, Dr. Claude Anderson, Tim Wise, Dr. Joy Degree, Sabir Bey, Professor James Smalls, Taj Tariq Bey, and Atlantis Browder, which you guys probably know him as Tony Browder, but he's changed his name to Atlantis. You really, I've watched this. Very powerful information. Very powerful. So again, that starts this Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Come on out. Everything is always free. Well, I shouldn't say always free. The events I shared with you today are free, as well as this last one that is taking place off-site. A really good friend of mine does this Family Day Festival every year. And this year, it's coming up this coming Saturday, actually. Raheem Devon is going to be headlining this event. It is free for the public. They are accepting donations. They have all types of festivities prepared. It's going to take place at the Weems Wayland Field, and that's in Annapolis, Maryland, 935 Spa Road. They have vending, information booths, a children's village, parade, a car show, double Dutch performances. Raheem Devon will be performing, and a whole lot more. That is from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. this Saturday in Annapolis, Maryland. And it's called the Family Day Festival. So if you want more information on that, I'm pretty sure you can Google it. Just Google the information and we'll take it from there. Okay, so we're going to get right back started with the second half of our communication here about co-parenting. What does it take, you think, to raise a happy, healthy child?
What does it take to raise a happy, healthy child? Well, I mean, that's a good question. I would say, well, a lot of love. I mean, you have to love the child. But I don't want to sound vague on that. I would say, honestly, if you put in the time with your child, give the child the energy that she or he may be looking for from you. And what I mean by that is that when a child is younger, especially younger, they just want time. It's not about money. It's not about anything. They just want your time. Mm-hmm. So if you're raising that child, give them that time. Do things with them. And it doesn't have to be expensive outings. It could be just walking in the park and doing things like that, or reading with them and watching a movie with them. And overall, that would definitely help the development of the child.
Beautiful, beautiful. How much of a role do you believe the new spouse should play in co-parenting the child?
That's actually another excellent question, actually, because I actually have a whole chapter devoted to that in my book, Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma. Yes.
And tell them real quick, before you answer that, where can they get your book?
You can get the book at Barnes & Noble. You can get it Amazon.com, iTunes.
Okay.
So just Google it online, or Google, Google my name, Leopold McLaughlin, and you'll see everywhere where you can get, get the book at.
And tell us the name of the book again.
Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma.
Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. And we said, what role does the new spouse
play?
Well,
The new spouse, is that the new spouse has to realize that they cannot intervene with the child and the child's parents. And what I mean by that is that you never want let's say, for instance, he's the man and he has a new girlfriend. You don't want that new girlfriend to start arguments and conflict and anything dealing with the mother. And a lot of times that does happen, where the girlfriend would be aggressive to the mother. But she needs to actually stay out of that. But what she should do actually is, I don't want to say befriend the child, because an adult should not really befriend the child, but be there for the child. Act like the child is theirs in a sense. Be very compassionate with the child, and try to build a relationship with the child. But don't get involved in what's happening with the parents.
Yeah. And that's pretty much, you pretty much described my role when I was going through it myself, because I had a wonderful relationship with the children, and I made a conscientious effort never to speak ill of their mother.
Right.
Ever. Whenever they heard me speak about their mother, it was always something positive, something encouraging,
Absolutely.
something uplifting. So, now, I know just from hearsay, it wasn't the same on the opposite end, but that wasn't my concern.
Right.
My concern was making sure that when those children was in our care, that they received the most healthiest relationships and communications there was.
Absolutely.
And talking about health, it can be very difficult if you are the new person coming in, the girlfriend, and the mother is really being spiteful. That's a painful thing to watch. You know that your significant other is in pain because this person is, using the system to, to hurt that individual, and that's a hard thing to see and be silent about. You can voice your opinion, I guess, to the person that you're with.
Yeah.
Going beyond that, you're stepping out of line. What I've also seen as well is that we've normalized the drama between male, female in the Black community, right?
Absolutely.
We've normalized that drama to where when we see a healthy functioning co-parent relationship, then on the other side you can get the jealousy. Well, why you have to help her?
Right.
She's just the mother of your child,
Right.
Good
point.
Right. The girlfriend is now upset, like, okay, because maybe they have a co-parenting relationship and it's not the best. It's really nasty. So now seeing you and the person that they're now with getting along, it becomes something else in their mind. It don't take all that.
That's a good point.
Because I've heard that. So I just look at it as we've normalized the drama to the point where to see a healthy one is almost like a terrible thing.
It's a strange thing to watch somebody go through a healthy, happy relationship. If you guys are just joining us, we are talking to Leo. He has a book called, tell me again.
Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma.
Winning the Baby Mama Drama Dilemma. If you want to join in on this conversation, feel free to call us. The studio hotline number is 240-455-5934. I think we have a caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
Great.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Great. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Bomani Sankofa, and I'm calling out of Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, Toledo,
Ohio.
Ohio player. Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Yes, I wanted to chime in about the topic today. I actually spoke with the sister via messenger yesterday about joining in on the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
We spoke on a previous post that I had posted on Facebook.
Yes. Thank you so much for calling. Yes,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
did. You said something. Had some very impactful things about your relationship as it pertains to co-parenting. Share that with us.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I remember hearing you guys talking on like what to do leading up to the actual co-parenting situation.
Mm-hmm.
With my situation, me and my wife, my ex-wife, prior to us actually splitting, we sat down, we had a discussion about how we were going to handle things. And what we did is we spoke about the time that we would get the child, and the finances.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we set up, because we both work, and since she works nights and I work mornings, so what we do is I get my daughter after I get off work, and she goes in at night, so I'll keep her through the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and then we alternate weekends.
Okay. So,
So
what do you think have been the most effective strategy for you guys to be able to do this successfully?
the most effective strategy has been the communication.
Mm-hmm.
Communication and the and being fair. We make sure that we are fair in our dealings as far as how we're splitting things up as far as the child goes, as far as the times that we're keeping it. Because say one weekend she may want to do something, but it may fall on her weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me personally, I feel like okay, I don't feel like I'm not going to be petty about it. So what I would do is say, look, I will keep her 2 weekends in a row, and then what you would do is you keep her the next 2 weekends once you get done with your weekend doing what it is you have to do.
So
it's all about the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
So I think the communication has to be there, and it's crazy because it seems like we're actually better friends, and we're actually getting along. We get along so much better doing the actual co-parenting thing. So I think it's actually made us all together closer. And
yeah, because it sounds like you're willing to compromise.
Yes,
you don't mind, compromising some in order for it to be a smooth transition.
Right.
Yeah. So, how old is your child?
She's 3 years old.
Oh, okay. And how do you see that? I would imagine you a 3-year-old little girl, and so if you guys aren't getting along, how because I said this once before on the show, the emotions a child have is the things they go through. They feel 10 times stronger than an adult because they don't have the faculties and the capacity to navigate through their emotions like we do. We learn those ways as we grow older and get more mature. And so when you tell a child, no, you can't see her daddy at 3 years old, and she don't understand all the intricate dynamics involved. All she know is this man she loves and loves to spend time with, now she can't see him, and the impact that has on children. I don't think we really understand as adults because if we did, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do that to our children so readily. We wouldn't hurt them so readily.
And it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up because the simple fact that you have some episodes of when it's time for the child to actually go home, she throws her tantrum.
Right. Good point.
She throws that tantrum, and then sometimes with men, how we are with our daughter, you can easily be like, you know what, here let her stay with me, and then sometimes I'll probably come back and get her, even though it's not my time. I will come back and get her just so I can get some things done. And I'll come back and get her. Like me, to me, it's just more so about I'm more of a I'm a very compromising person, and I love being around my daughter. So therefore, it makes things way more easier as to
Beautiful.
where, and then once and me being like that, it also makes her mother a little way more relaxed. So therefore, both parties are actually winning when you're willing to compromise
Win-win, yep.
on
Yeah.
things like that.
It definitely takes both parties. I agree. It takes both parties because if the brother is doing all he can and jumping through all kind of hoops to do what's necessary to provide and be there for his child, and the mother is just so into her feelings and not and not meeting him halfway, then everything he does is null and void.
And
Right.
I guess
No, he can hang on there with us. But
I guess
Monica,
what I
That's where
want to
we'll-
definitely put out there too is that co-parenting, we're talking about it, and it's not easy. It takes work. It really takes
Yes.
work, and the more you do it, the better both parties get at it.
yes.
It takes work. I'm listening to him talk, and I'm thinking of my son. His dad has a girlfriend now, and she has two kids, two girls, and they live together. And when I go to pick my child up to take him, let's say, to the circus or something, and one of her kids is in the house, I take her with us.
Beautiful.
I take her with us. My son.
That's the
asked me-
village.
Yes, that's the village. My son asked me things like, "Can my whole family come?" Because kids don't see things like us. They're trying to understand, why can adults get along? It's so easy for us to do it,
Right.
And so he asked those questions. Now, am I going to take a cruise with his stepmom? Probably not. Okay, it's probably
Right,
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I respect her enough, and the key thing for me is that once I see how my son felt about that woman, he loves her.
See?
Which lets me know that she is actually an asset. She is, she's doing the right thing, because kids know if you're mean to them, they don't want to be around you.
Right.
He absolutely
Right.
loved this woman, and I know that she's gentle with him because I've spent time around them. Once I knew that, then I'm like, okay, that's all I
Right.
need to know.
Yeah.
And so anytime there's anything going on, she's always there. Her kids are always there. I've spent time with her daughter numerous times, because I'm like, she's another kid in the house, and if I pick my son up, we're leaving this other kid in the house.
Right.
By herself.
Right.
So come on.
Right.
Let's all go have fun.
That's the
Absolutely.
village,
You know,
and that
yeah.
takes a level of maturity
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to pull off.
Yeah.
It really does. It's putting your emotionalism to the side and doing what's best for the children. Yeah. Ken wants to know, Ken Walker, he says it's really sad and destructive when the mothers use the children as pawns in their emotional gamesmanship. Yeah. He also wanted your website information.
Oh, sure. My website is assuredchildsupport.com. I have the organization is www.forobf.org. So those two you can get in contact with, or you can just find me on Facebook, leopoldmclaughlin.com.
Is there a name for the app that you...
Oh yes, the app is Tutel, Tutel, and the website for that is tutelapp.com.
Okay, great. And Bomani, you still with us?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
I had one of my questions was, can you really love your child and hate the parent? What do you think about that, Bomani?
I don't think so. I do not. I don't think that's healthy, because of the simple fact is that I don't think you can hate the person who still on a daily basis takes care of your child. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing it by yourself. So it's like, how can you hate someone who's taking care of your child, like making sure your child is eating, making sure your child is being educated? You have to have there's definitely a level of respect and love that you have to have for a person who's doing that for your child. So I don't think, and if someone does hate the person that they have a child with, then I think there's definitely more to that, instead of just a simple, oh, I can't stand her or whatever, but there's definitely something more behind that. But I don't think, me personally, I cannot hate the person who's actually taking care of my child and making sure she has her needs met.
Yeah.
I think that goes both ways because yes, some people will hate their ex, right? And this is partially why they refuse to give them access to their child. That's the other part of that. I hate you so much, you will not have access to my kid. Because he's right. How can you actually hate someone and still allow your child to be in their care week after week? That's like saying that's my enemy, but they can take care of my child. It makes no sense.
Good point.
So a lot of times the hate is connected to you won't have access to my child.
Yeah, and I think that boils down to not being able to forgive.
Absolutely.
You know, I think when we realize that, you know, we chose this significant other.
And
we chose
right,
this
and
person
personal responsibility.
Right, that's my point. So it's like, you know, I think the more we're able to understand that wait a minute, you know, this is okay, good or bad or ugly. I chose this person to be the mother or father of my child. So let me, you know, do what I need to do, you know, on my end to make sure that this situation is better.
When it was good, it was good. You know?
Yeah, personal responsibility
Absolutely.
helps in forgiveness. Because you'll be able to be like, you know what, okay, well, you know, I'm not perfect either.
And I would say to mothers who are struggling in co-parenting to get along with the father of their child because of some hurt, some pain that was caused and some bitterness, you need to seek professional help for yourself individually so you can start to work on yourself, because really most of the things that we think are issues in this world is really our perception of them. And if we can change that, we can definitely change the effect that they have on us. So I say to sisters all the time, if you are that angry, you need to go and deal with some of those issues. Because forgiveness isn't necessarily about the other person, it's about you.
I agree. I agree. Mamani, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you, and I love seeing your posts on Facebook. They're always so informative. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, we are quickly running out of time here. I think we have about 2 minutes left, and we have a caller coming in. Let's see what this caller has to say. Give us 1 second. Caller, are you there?
Yes, peace and blessings, sisters and the guests. This is the Wasita.
Greetings, Sister Wasita. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Once again, an amazing topic, and I just wanted to throw in real quick. It's all about the children. Leave the feelings outside. As long as both parents are focusing on the needs and the wants and taking care of the healthy, supportive growth of the child, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And whether a man or woman pays child support or not, let that child see the parent. Because in reality, most women, they'd rather the father spend time with the child than spend money. So we have to mature from the parent standpoint, and I'm just going to leave it at this. Focus on the best interest of the child, and it'll run smooth like water.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, family. That is our Empower Hour. So it is now 3 o'clock, and you have been tuned in every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We take a powerful discussion, topic, and we discuss it right here on air with your help. Thank you, Leopold.
Thank you.
We appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure.
Yes. And until next time, take care.